You have won numerous recognitions since you were young, actually. How did you develop your own?
How did you know this?
I'm a journalist. I'm supposed to do some research, right? I'm an interviewee. Well, how do you actually develop your own leadership potential?
I never really set out to develop my own leadership potential at the very beginning. I think that when I started, it really was because I looked at the world and I saw a world that could be better. Mm-hmm. And I decided that I had some agency, that I could actually do things to make this world better. Very simple things, you know. My first exercise, I suppose, in leadership was really, you know, in school. They give you all these opportunities. But I remember being elected barangay captain, it's village captain in one of the villages in the Philippines. What's amazing about the Philippines is they gave me, as a student and as a young person there, so many opportunities to grow as a leader. You know, between competitions where you're, you know, inspired to excel, and actual government positions that they let you do for a week. So I was like 12 years old, and they had this National Boys and Girls Week, where they basically have young people take over government positions to see how the world would change if the young person had the opportunity to lead. And I remember I was 12, and I was like elected barangay captain of this village. Uh-huh. And asked to solve a problem. I had 1 week to solve this problem. So I'm like, what problem can I solve in 1 week? Mm-hmm. The village was not that clean. You know, there was like a lot of sewers, a lot of trash. So I decided to organize the kids in the village, and we were going to spend an entire day cleaning up the entire village, section by section, cleaning it up. Mm-hmm. And we were asked actually by a lot of the adults, why are you doing this? It's just going to get dirty again. Mm-hmm. And the reasoning that we shared with them was, once we see how clean it is and how beautiful it looks after it's been cleaned, perhaps the entire community could be inspired to keep it that way. Mm-hmm. And to keep cleaning it on its own without us having to come in and do a massive cleanup mm-hmm. intervention. But the point that I'm making is, I think regardless of what age you're in, mm-hmm. I think leadership is either thrust upon you, or you consciously, you know, create it and say, oh, I'm going to become a leader and these are the steps I need to take. Or in my case, I look at a problem and I want that problem solved, and I take the initiative to go ahead and bring a lot of other people with me to tackle that problem or to go after an opportunity. Mm-hmm. And that's how I think I've ended up on a leadership journey.
As a social enterprise, do you set any particular global problems that Womensphere must try to solve?
Right now, we are very much focused on influencing the evolution of women as leaders. So it's a very macro, planetary process. I wouldn't call it a problem. I call it a journey. And I think that there is a very fragmented approach. There are many different institutions that are trying to tackle this through many different ways, and they don't necessarily connect with each other. So one of our goals at Womensphere is to provide a connective tissue to enable all of these institutions to talk to each other, as well as to collaborate and to share information. What's great is that being part of the World Economic Forum, they have an amazing initiative around this, where they have measurement of the gender equity gap, they have a repository of leadership practices within companies. You know, but this extends all the way to educational institutions, in fact, all the way to families, and what families are communicating to their girls. And this is why I think it's extremely important for media to be involved, and why we're creating a part of Womensphere that is media. Because it's not just about talking to institutions and connecting institutions and networks with each other. It's also about being able to reach a wide, you know, number of the population, to inspire them to think either differently or to inspire them to keep going if they're on the right path. Mm-hmm.
What would you tell other women on how they can reach their own potential or do anything to achieve their dreams?
I think that I think it's important for women to stay inspired and to stay energized. And I think that before we can even start leading organizations or society, we need to lead ourselves first. And what that means is that if we have a vision of who we want to become and what we want to accomplish, it's important that we nurture that vision and that we provide ourselves. We create the environment that allows us to succeed. Instead of us getting in our own way, instead of us thinking, oh my God, I'm not going to succeed, this is so difficult, It's important that we think, hey, this is my dream. I'm inspired to do this. You know, what are the things I can do to invest in increasing the probability of my own success? You know, does this mean I get further education? Does this mean I need more mentors? Does this mean I need to create an advisory board of people that know more than I do? You know, I think it's extremely important to surround ourselves with people that are experts in different fields or that know more than we do so that we can learn from them. I also think it's important that we exercise, you know, acts of giving back and leadership. And you know, the process of leadership is not a selfish process. There's a part of the leadership journey where you actually evolve as a leader. The more you give away, you know, the more you share, the more you understand the world, and the more things come back to you. So I'm not saying that purposefully go give away so that things will come back to you. It's just, I think it's part of the universe and how the universe works. The more you invest in others, somehow others end up investing in you.
Mm-hmm. There's some men that I talk to, and then some of these men would say, you know, a lot of focus is being given to women, women's development, women's education, women's career path. Sometimes they feel sidelined. What would you tell these men?
I think that there is such an exciting momentum around women, and I think that if these men are really smart, they would become a part of that momentum. In fact, they will lead that momentum. I think the really smart men are actually ahead of the curve. The really smart men are the ones saying, of course I want to invest in women. Of course I think it's an amazing idea to develop more women as leaders. Those men, they're very smart. You know why? All the women end up loving them. And so I would encourage more men to be a part of it and to actually take the lead and take the initiative.
Analisa said anyone can join Womensphere, so just go to worldwideweb.womensphere.org. You might find your source of inspiration from there.